Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are talking about spooky, spicy, haunted reads just in time for Halloween coming up. I read all 6 of the Amazon original Scared Sexy short story collection, so you don't have to. Every year, usually around the holiday seasons, Amazon releases a collection of short stories with some big names like Hazelwood, Christina, Ruby Dixon, etc., etc. This year they released the Scared Sexy collection for Halloween. All of these are less than 100 pages. I think the longest one is 94 pages. So if you're listening, that's about 2.5 hours or less. So they're meant to be kind of read and consumed in one sitting. There's the ebook that's available through Kindle Unlimited, and then with that you can get the audiobook for free so you can read and listen at the same time. Some of the stories in this collection were a hit and some were a miss, so let's jump right in. We're starting at the end because that's the order that I read them in. My Boyfriends Are All Monsters by Kimberly, Lemming. This is an author that's known for her funny, quirky, monster, sort of sci-fi romances. And I've read one that I liked, and then I've read one that I didn't like, so I never really knew where I stood on this author. This short story didn't help. Even some of the reviews were really mixed, from I really wish that this was a full-length novel to people saying this was weird and confusing and they didn't like it. I think I fall into that second group. Monster romances just aren't really my thing. They just aren't. Like the most that you can get me into that gray area is Omegaverse. Tentacles and dragon scales, I'm not about it. When the tentacles got involved, because that's what's on the cover, when they got involved, I mentally clocked out. Naturally, this book just falls to the bottom of the ranking for me. Next up was Beautiful Nightmare by Katee Robert, and this book probably surprised me in the best way. I'm most familiar with Katee Robert's retellings, so this is an author that I have enjoyed before and I enjoyed again. It's about a sleep paralysis demon named Gemma who feeds on fear. In this little world that Katee has set up, you can kind of fall into different categories as far as what demon you are. She's thought that she's so bad at being a sleep paralysis demon because she doesn't scare anybody, because she's pink and she's unicorn-esque and just, in my head, really, really cute. So she's not scaring anybody until she pops in to scare Caleb, and she finds out that Caleb is not scared of her. He's in fact very lustful after her. Gemma realizes that lust is an emotion that she can feed on. They get active with each other, then they live happily ever after. It felt creative to me. I never thought to personify a sleep paralysis demon to make the reader feel like I have a whole complete circle of Caleb and Gemma. That's kind of a feat in my opinion for a short story. Most of the time I don't enjoy them because I don't feel like you can get such a complete story, but I think Katee Robert did that really well. In the top 2, actually. It's definitely in the top 2. Next up, we've got Space Vampire by Ruby Dixon, and yes, it's what it seems. He's a vampire and they're in space. Ruby Dixon writes these alien novels, big blue men with attachments on their bodies who obsess over their mates. That's her niche. That was also reflected in this story. Right off rip, you got this warning of mentions of slavery, and I'm like, hey, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? The main character, Dana, was a sex slave for this group of scientists in space. They created a space vampire. They got scared of the vampire and they ditched Dana and the vampire, whose name we learn is Vlad. The two of them are on this abandoned space shuttle together. Vlad needs to feed. I guess Dana is used to being victimized, so she said, why not continue to be? She feeds her blood to Vlad. They fornicate and decide let's go live in a space commune together. You might have thought I was being dramatic, but that's the literal plot of the book. I gave this one 3 stars. It was bizarre, but Ruby kind of leans into that, so that's what I was expecting. It was okay. Next up is Spicy Little Curses by J.T. Geissinger. This one follows Petra, who's a reporter, and Dax, who is unemployed, I guess. He has these series of tattoos on his body. We learned that the tattoos kind of represent the story of curses that the men in his family have lived through. So all the men in his line, when they fall in love with a woman or a woman falls in love with them, that woman dies. You know, don't really love this storyline anyway, but from the very beginning, Petra is drawn to Dax. She wants to know more about him. We get Dax's POV and see that now Petra's name is on his body. So that means that Petra's gonna die. Somehow, Petra breaks this curse in a very convoluted way. Ultimately, this one just didn't work for me. I wasn't following the story. I had no emotional connection to the characters whatsoever, and I couldn't care whether these characters lived or died in the book, let alone if their relationship worked out. This was my first book by this author and might be my last as well. We're getting to the last 2 books in the collection. Let's start with Falling by Christina Lauren. This duo has written some heavy hitters. My expectations were high, and rightfully so. This story follows Kat, and when we meet her, she is going to this Halloween party to break up with her boyfriend. Now don't worry, they needed to break up. He wasn't good for her. At the Halloween party, she meets this angel who she thinks, you know, it's a costume, but we soon learn that Brigand is a fallen angel. Because the nature of these stories, they hook up. Amidst that, he realizes that he can't coerce her. Now, don't get too crazy with that because they did have a whole conversation about consent. She also realized, hey, there was this voice and I felt it, but I didn't listen to it. What is that? She feels drawn to him. He feels drawn to her. Part of this curse that he's lived with is knowing, you know, I'll get pleasure from people and then I'll move on. So he was expecting it to be the same way with Kat, but that did not work on her. So they spend the rest of Halloween night together, and then we find out a little bit more about Brigand and how he got to the point where he was. He was cursed to be immortal and have these experiences with people that in the grand scheme of things didn't really mean anything until he found his true love again, and she asked the right question that showed that he was really seen. And Kat did at the end ask that question. This one to me was surprisingly emotional and romantic, and the narration might have been my favorite in the collection. Towards the end, you really did feel the back and forth of everything in this story melding together and working. So this one also falls into the top 2, and it's not number 2. Finally, Hot for Slayer by Allie Hazelwood. We know Allie over here. When I saw that it was about a vampire and a vampire hunter, my first thought was, I wonder if this was like Bride original notes that she ditched. But I can say, thankfully, that was not the case, and the 2 female main characters felt completely different. We follow Ethel, a vampire, and Laszlo, the vampire slayer, who she's been avoiding / running into for centuries. After saving her life though, Laszlo, he ends up concussed and he wakes up without his memories. He realizes that he has these innate movements and thoughts. He's got knives on his body. He's aware of his situations. That's not connecting with the cover story that Ethel has told him, which is that he's an exterminator. Because in her head, she's like, as soon as he figures out who he is, he's gonna try to kill me. So she's trying to keep him on his toes and not realizing who he really is. There's a lot of that typical fun Allie banter that I like as he tries to figure out who he is and keeps asking her, tell me who I am, tell me who we are, and just why he feels such a connection to her. He says something like, even if I don't know who I am or what I'm doing, I know who you are and I know how you feel to me. You know, obsessed alley man type behavior. But then it started to get a little convoluted for me. So there was this backstory, and I'm assuming that Ethel and Laszlo knew each other as human children. I wasn't following the backstory. Whatever connection that they had, whatever Laszlo was feeling for her, I didn't understand. This one is the longest of the bunch, so 94 pages, a little over 2.5 hours, and it's supposed to be the flagship of the collection, but it kind of fell a little flat for me, and it's ranked probably 3rd overall for the collection. So that's all 6 of the Scared Sexy Amazon originals. Here is my quick ranking. Number 1, Falling by Christina Lauren. 2nd place, Beautiful Nightmare by Katee Robert. And then 3rd, Hot for Slayer by Ali Hazelwood. And then Space Vampire, My Boyfriends Are All Monsters, and Spicy Little Curses round out the list. Overall, these are fun, quick little reads. I got done with them in about 2 days. So if you're looking for a quick and spicy Halloween novella, I would definitely recommend Falling or Beautiful Nightmares. But I always tell people that reading is subjective, so if you do check out some of the others, let me know. Make sure that you're following me on Instagram, TikTok, Goodreads. Links for those are in the description down below. Locate your birth certificate and your passport if you haven't already. That's really just a reminder for me.